Abbiamo visto cos'è la spirit therapy.
In this month, we've seen what spirit therapy is. We've tried to focus on some of the goals we want to achieve. But let's see, what are the fundamental conditions? Because also for this path, there are some conditions that make it effective or not. First, the motivation. If you want to learn the piano, the art of playing clearly, you have to be motivated. You have to have a passion for the piano. You have to have the motivation that the effort will give you many joyful results. Or if you want to become a champion runner, you must have a strong motivation because naturally every art requires effort, sacrifice, commitment. So let's try to identify the motivations that lead us to want to do the work of questioning all our certainties, our daily routine, in order to give great meaning to every moment that we live. We can identify our motives by getting to know ourselves better. We can learn how to live our lives to the fullest, to not waste a single second. And this is why it's important to have the courage to question ourselves, to put ourselves on the line and to renounce those certainties that we've taken on as dogmas and absolute principles in our lives, but to open up our hearts, souls and spirits and let ourselves be challenged. Look, the Word of God for Christians, for non-believers and atheists, if you really meditate on it, it's something that works inside you and puts you into crisis. And this is another condition that you may not like so much, but it's fundamental. Knowing how to question ourselves, unmasking the many lies of pseudo-certainty on which we fed our hearts, and setting to work so as to discover new horizons. The third point, but not the third, is that this isn't a theoretical course. It's not that Chiara, is telling us theories or Chiara taught us that beautiful thing. No, it's a course that we do together. We share together the difficulties, the discoveries and the lights that each one of us on this path might find. Moreover, to be able to do spirit therapy, we need to move from theory to practice. So here, I don't teach you theories, as I was saying. I will share with you some discoveries that have been fundamental for me and for thousands of people, but these will only bear fruit in our lives if we put them into practice. Just as, for example, if you want to train to win the Olympics, the coach can tell you, do this exercise, do this one. He can explain everything about the technique of the discipline on which you'd like to achieve excellence. But then if every day you don't do those fundamental exercises, you'll never get the results you set yourself. And the same in this journey. It's to discover the mystery of beauty that's contained in our spirit in order to use our potential. It's essential to move from theory to practice every time, which is why so many of our dysfunctional attitudes that cause us discomfort, they're now habits. So our unconscious has somehow internalized these. It's made them its own for years. So our inner navigator automatically goes to those dysfunctional attitudes. Negative thinking is a dysfunctional attitude that 90% of people today have for 1,000 reasons. But if you don't train, and we'll see this in the next meeting, to do a whole series of exercises to avoid being at the mercy of negative thoughts, negative states of mind, then you automatically go into the negative mode.
Quindi dalla teoria alla pratica.
So from theory to practice is fundamental. It's not enough for us to do the exercises that we're going to do in each meeting for that month. But we also have to go back until we've replaced that kind of habit that generates discomfort, that prevents us from living in love, with a new habit that allows us instead to live our giving of ourselves and receiving love from others in a fuller way. In order to be able to do this exercise and continuous training, constancy is essential. And therefore the exercises we give ourselves, we must continue to do them, revise them again, not forgetting that very quickly what we learn, we also forget. So we then need, by putting things into practice, to internalize these things. And for this reason, it's also important to focus each time on what we want to achieve. What are the medium, the short, the long-term objectives that we propose? In this respect, it can help us, and I would say it's fundamental, to carry out a daily and a weekly review of the various exercises that we give ourselves each time, to take stock of it and see what results have we achieved. We might say, I got a bit too comfortable, so that week I didn't get any results. In any art, this is fundamental, all the more so for this path. And then it's a great help to share this with someone. We have sharing groups precisely because we've discovered that, as in every climb, if you want to reach some important peak, it's one thing to go alone, another to go with someone who's already done that climb, and another thing to go as a team to help each other when you're in difficulty. And why is it fundamental to do this route in a team that's joined by a rope? Because the others help us to see those things in ourselves that we don't want to see, that we're unable to see, that we prefer not to see. And so compromising ourselves, both by trying to work in a group and by sharing our answers and our exercises with those who know us well, and also asking for feedback, is one of the fundamental conditions. So getting help, getting correction from those who know us, from those who really love us, naturally. If not, they'll project onto us the problems that are perhaps theirs. Then we need a lot of humility, which is part of the challenge. I mentioned this before. Here too, I'd like now to leave you with some questions for reflection and further study. So, try to put in writing what are the motives for which you want to make this journey, which isn't just one meeting, 2 meetings. It's a course, a pathway that lasts over time and that bears fruit over time, as any therapy. So what are my motives? To ask ourselves, what's my spirit? What is the spirit? How much time am I devoting to spirituality? We spend so much time on getting ready in the morning, our makeup, hair, clothes, fashion. However, our spirit? How much time am I dedicating? And what are the main goals that I somehow feel I want to achieve at this time in my life? And as a final commitment, let's make the commitment of this discussing it with others. And to have a daily review, a weekly review, group confrontation, If it's not possible with a group, then with at least 2 or 3 people who know us well. And we can take away as a word of light, remain in my love. Because the secret to living the journey of our life joyfully is not to put a little love here and there with the people we love and that's it. But it's to live with great love, all the little things of each day. And to love what we do, more than just doing what we love. And so let's remain in his love. Not any love, but in his love.
Allora ci lasciamo con questo impegno.
So now we leave each other with these commitments
Buon cammino.
and a good journey to everyone.